The following episode may contain references to Formula One controversies, both past and present. Viewer discretion is advised.
How are you, Andy? How's your winter break? Did you do anything fun?
Yes, my winter break was spectacular.
Did you go anywhere?
No, not at all.
I think
Nowhere exciting anyway.
I agree. You didn't go anywhere exciting. This is incredibly sort of inside conversation. It might become apparent that we did spend some time together because I think one of the climaxes of the winter season or the off season that we were lucky enough to be together that day and to experience.
Yes, it involved you bursting into my room at 7 a.m. and going,
your room.
"Look!"
You wish,
and pointing your phone at me.
You wish I burst into your room, Andy. I knocked and I asked you if you've seen the news, and you said no. And I showed you the news.
No, because I was bleary-eyed and just about conscious. Have you seen the news? Clearly not. I've been asleep.
Maybe you have some, I don't know, communication.
Yes, maybe I'm psychic. I'm
subconscious.
psychically linked to the Tifosi. Anyway, that's a spoiler alert.
I think we need to establish we're trying to recap everything that happened over the last 3 months. And usually not that much happens.
Yeah, we're doing the silly winter season shenanigans.
And it was silly. It started very sort of.
It started very dull.
Very tame.
Nothing happened.
I think the 2-day scandal, because it literally lasted 2 days between, oh my god, Susie Wolf is taking confidential information and bringing them to Toto and serving along with Pumpernickel. That turned out to be because how she doesn't what. Again, maybe I'm small-minded, close-minded, but what kind of information Susie Wolf, in her capacity as a CEO of F1 Academy, or whatever her title is, what secrets could she possibly take home? And I don't know. It was such a bizarre allegation from the get-go, and yeah, it stuck, and it made a huge stink for 2 days, and we all forgot about it. Literally, we're like. 3 months after? 2 months since that, or over 2 months passed, and frankly, it had no impact on my life whatsoever, and I don't think anyone cares. Which tells
that's
you,
kind of been and gone. Like, cleared of allegations.
Which tells you, I think, the how long is the life cycle of certain F1 drama. Logan Sargent signed on the contract, and we've had this conversation around the end of the season.
Yes.
And I think you went to Sargent. I said. Williams doesn't really have a much better choice because no one's going to come down to drive Williams yet. And also, you have no guarantee that any other rookie is actually going to be better than Logan Sargent. It is difficult to be a rookie in F1, as Nyck de Vries found out in a very spectacular manner. And I think I've made this point before that they know more than we do, and maybe it's best to not rock the boat, and good for them. He scored points. Better than some other drivers.
He has shown through the last season that when he really needs to, he can get the job done.
There was this Q3 in Zandvoort when he smashed into the wall. There were hits. There were some. If Logan Sargent departs the sport after this season, which is not unlikely, we will do a greatest hits compilation of Logan Sargent. But yeah, that was about it, because. If we were to do this for every driver that departed the grid after the last race, there wouldn't be any, because the first winter ever without grid changes.
Yes, it has been the first winter break, as far as we can tell. Big asterisk on this, as far as we can tell. First winter break in F1 history where there have been no driver changes. And if we're wrong, then you go contact Motorsport Magazine and you tell them that they're wrong.
I'm not going to stake my entire reputation, but this is fairly easy to check. If just find at least one driver change. And as far as my mind goes, as far as I can recall the last God knows how many seasons, there have always been something. So
yeah, I did a little bit of due diligence, and I did check as far back as 2011.
I haven't.
And yeah.
No, I can tell you for certain all the way to 2009 because I have I will unveil it at some point, but it's...
Oh, yes, you have your graph,
I have my
course.
graph of driver changes. January comes round, and we're like, there is this moment we kind of forget F1 exists, because not a lot happens, and, after Christmas, and then you find out that the only marketable asset of Haas F1 team is not a Haas F1 team asset anymore. Guenther got the boot.
Goodbye, Guenther Steiner, yeah.
Which is, I understand the team has enjoyed this kind of media presence and this kind of aura of underdog around them, and that it's partially because of Guenther and because of he has a strong character. And
yeah, he's very much a character, yeah.
But as far as I understand, it's fairly obvious, but sort of the main disagreement between him and Gene was obviously money, because Gene isn't interested in putting.
Of course, it's money. It's always money with Haas. It's always money.
Yeah, so all the best to them, and I want to make this point, and throughout the season we'll be possibly talking some shite about drivers and maybe teams, but it's not an easy job, and it's not especially an easy job if you're an engineer for Haas and you try to do your best, and you still build an incredible machine at corners at around 250 kilometers per hour. That's impressive, but you're a second a lap slower than the fastest team, which doesn't seem like a lot. It's a second over 5 kilometers something. But this effectively means you're doing a shit job, or your company is doing a shit job. It must be frustrating. I don't know what Guenther's gonna do. He's gonna write another book. I was messaging someone. Someone asked me, "Oh, I wonder what Guenther's gonna do." And I said, "Well, he probably is gonna get his own reality show. Let's be honest. People would watch that."
I wonder if he'll get a job at Netflix. He'll actually work on Drive to Survive.
Can we? I'm looking forward to Drive to Survive not being a thing anymore. It's sad because I have no intention of watching it. I don't want to be all high and mighty. Well, it's inaccurate, because it did help me to get back into the sport after quite a bit of a break that I had. Frankly, good for them. I hope it brings more people to the sport. Or maybe not.
I think that's what it's successfully managed.
No, we should gatekeep. No, I hope it goes away and it's people stop caring about fun.
We should gatekeep.
We should gatekeep.
Gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss.
We have our episode title now. Sorry, we've been ranting about Netflix. Why? Guenther. What happens to Guenther? I don't think the job on Drive to Survive is worthy of him. It's hard to tell how effective of a team principal he was, because there've been hardly any progress. It's been ebbs and flows. So
it's hard to go down from where Haas already were.
And yet.
Well, we'll see with the new guy.
We'll
yeah, so best of luck to all the new team principal of Haas, Io Komatsu.
And I don't think he's been very upfront about, we don't have particularly high hopes for the start of the season. Oh boy.
Yeah, well.
It's a death by a million cuts. It's very slow and painful thing to see, because obviously we've seen it's been a while since the team left F1, mid 2015, 16-ish. We don't have to look it up.
Yeah, what was the last one that went? Was it Caterham?
Around the time, I think it was 2017 and 2017. So, ancient. Obviously, there is one solution for again, we wish all the best to Haas, but just let Andretti buy the team. Why is Gene Haas holding on to that? Just let him buy. Just give him the team. Just give it to him.
Just let him buy
it. Let him buy it. I can't believe this. A truly American team. Haas is truly American.
He was doing air quotes there, folks. You couldn't see it.
It was. That's Haas. That's Guenther, and a very uncertain future for the, again, air quotes, the only American team on the grid. I do feel, just as a side note, that American-ness in F1 is focusing mostly on Logan Sargent, because he's, as a Florida man, I don't want to say painfully American, but he sort of embraces this. What the heck is a kilometer? This kind of thing. It's been a thing. Haas doesn't really have that vibe.
No. Haas is still trying to take itself very seriously in we're a prim and proper European sport.
Yes. Well, we'll see for how long. Contracts. Speaking of contracts, we have 2 extensions separated by 1 day.
Yep. First of all, Chuck Leclerc. Sorry, Charles Leclerc.
Beyond 2024, whatever the heck that means, but so at least 2025, possibly into the future. Yeah. I don't like this ambiguous sort of statements. Please tell me frankly and openly how long is the contract. But obviously, if I didn't like that, I definitely didn't like Lando's extension beyond 2025, which happened a day later. McLaren and Ferrari, and we'll get into Ferrari development in just a second. And he's frothing in the mouth right now, people. You can't see it, but he's He's salivating very.
Oh, I want to say it. I want to say it.
Okay.
I want to say it.
Okay.
No, but anyway, let's carry on with the bit we're currently doing.
McLaren has their lineup solid until 2020, until the end of 2026.
It's not a bad lineup.
It's not. It's
Lando
a very,
and Piastri, they're both good drivers.
They struck gold, and Zach Brown.
They-
McLaren did also a very good thing. They first of all didn't wait too long. They just showed their livery. I think it was mid January, and then they showed the car. Here are pictures. That's all. No nonsense. No smoke machines and
Not what Red Bull did, which we'll have to get to in a bit.
Red Bull did many
But,
things.
Yeah. A lot of the teams do it. They're like, oh, like here's like weird lighting and like as you say, like smoke machines and all the rest of it. It's like great, looks cool. Also, deliberately hides a lot of the new like upgrades they've made. But there's ways around it, as we'll find out.
There's ways around it, and also so I appreciate just no nonsense. This is the car.
McLaren just here is the car. Enjoy.
Here's the car.
The other teams can look at it. We don't care.
Well, they won't, because someone pointed out to me that actually you can't see bits of wishbones actually in the very few pictures that they've released. You can't actually tell what's in there. So it's apparently the word in the street. The word in the streets of walking is that there is something that's worth hiding. But yeah,
according to the Woking Massive,
McLaren is one team that has both drivers lined up beyond this season, and the other team is Ferrari. We'll get to that in a second. Outside of Ferrari and McLaren, there's only one driver who is locked until 2028. Not locked up, as some people wish, but it's Max, obviously.
moving on swiftly.
Moving on swiftly. Nothing happened. We left the country. I left the country. Did you leave the country after Lando announcement?
I also left the country with you on the same flight. We can drop the pretense.
I'm sorry.
It was our honeymoon.
Okay, how long that took? 20 minutes. Lovely.
Great. The recording will not be 20 minutes long, by the way, so people will be looking at the time and be like, we've been recording for 20 minutes.
We've been talking shy for 21 minutes. No, we left the country on the day of Charles' announcement, I think. We were just chilling, we were having fun.
But then kind of, we were right, nothing really happened for a bit.
Nothing really happened. We were just hanging out, chilling. Nothing much happened in F1. We're just, we're cruising. We know that team launches are happening in a bit. They're all going to be boring as heck. Let's just start the season. And then, after FIA in October said, Andretti, you're wonderful, we love you so much, you actually meet all the requirements for joining the sport. And now, over to our commercial partners, the FOM. FOM, over to you. Denied. Andretti, F1, Cadillac.
And it's absolutely insane what it allegedly came down to. They I don't know if I told you about this or if you read it. FOM had scheduled a meeting with Andretti Cadillac and be like, okay, like let's have a discussion about this. Let's set up a meeting. Let's talk about it. The email went into the junk folder and no one found, and it was found by an intern at Andretti Cadillac who was like, hey, is this important? It was like several weeks late.
I refuse to believe this. I refuse, folks. We're gonna put if Andy can find a proof of that, we'll put that on the screen. I refuse to comprehend this level of. Okay, you know what? That makes me feel slightly bad for them, because if they're so incompetent, if this is this is.
Okay, a single email going into a junk folder accidentally is not necessarily incompetence on a large scale.
Okay, if you work in one organization and you...
If that was a sign of incompetence, all of Haas's emails would bounce.
Maybe they're all the emails from potential sponsors, they end up in the spam folder in Haas and just never get the money. So the only reason they have the Chipotle one is because they probably frequent location near the factory.
Oh, so let's move back.
Let's move back to Andretti. It is disappointing because he seems like he has an operation, I don't say up and running, but he sponsor and partnerships lined up. And they didn't even tell him no. They said, "Oh, try again," which is you're not restarting router. It's not like you could keep trying and maybe we'll change your mind. It's horrendous. And I've said it before. I said it again. Just let him buy Haas. It seems like
Yeah, he should be able to buy Haas. Like, especially if, well, I say if Gene wants to sell it, of course. And
Okay, let's go back to Haas then. If Gene doesn't want to sell it, what is he... Does he have, like, friends who just want a paddock pass and he knows he can give them away if he has a team? Is it some kind of 5D chess that he doesn't care about the actual effort? He just wants to have...
Haas Engineering make lots of stuff, as far as I'm aware. I think they pretty much just have an F1 team for the prestige of a thing.
How much of a prestige?
That's a thing that, like, good engineering firms do. They have an F1 team.
No? I mean...
Williams?
Yeah, McLaren replied, yeah, my point is...
Williams make a load of, like, really good, like, energy storage units.
Yeah, but the F1 team came before that. They've...
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. My point is they're an engineering firm.
Yeah, so is McLaren.
Who now have an F1 team.
Yeah, but the point is, what kind of prestige is that if you are basically slated to be plumb last? And quote me on that if they're not, because I think it's pretty likely that they will be at the very bottom of the standings. And they don't have exciting driver lineup, and both of those contracts are expiring. And if they lose their seats, and they might, they're not getting another. We'll get into seats in just a second. I just want to wrap the Andretti buckle. It's a mess, and I don't think no one is happy about. There is a single fan, I think, who was hey, good, we don't need more teams. Yeah, it would have been mess in Austria or in Monaco, but
they'd have made it work.
There have been more teams in the grid, and we would.
Like at one point, there were 12 teams on the grid.
13, I think, one season. Fairly
13
recently.
is most, yeah.
So
yeah,
cars were smaller.
We've just gotten kind of used to 10, but we can definitely have more. In fact, 11 teams would be good.
Yeah, so Andretti might be frustrated. I think I've said that to you. Just he will start his own racing series, just Andretti, Formula Andretti, and
Oh yeah, with none of the restrictions of Formula One.
Blackjack and hookers.
That'd be great. Just make the fastest car you can.
And the season opener will be Laguna Seca.
Yes.
Andretti isn't getting into F1 unless he buys Gene Haas. And
much.
That was enough of a shocker. That was enough of a development. That was that made the winter time.
That was pretty big news for the time in what was otherwise up until that point a fairly tame winter season.
Okay. Next morning, I woke up, and I don't have any notification on my phone except for trains and Discord. And I just saw a bunch of messages on Discord, like, okay. And I looked at that, and I was like, no. I thought I was asleep. I thought I wasn't even drunk or otherwise inebriated. It just, no. I looked at it, I looked at some other website, and I said, I got to show this to Andy. So I walked to his room, knocked on the door, he made a noise.
You got...
and I said, have you seen the news? What was your reply?
No, I haven't.
Yes, exactly. And then I showed my phone. He was staring with a very blank expression at my phone for, I'm going to say 30 seconds.
It took me a minute. My eyes were not working correctly, folks. I had just woken up.
I don't think...
The knocking was what woke me up. So I was like, and he's like, can I come in? It's like, oh, yeah.
But...
And I look at your phone, and what is it that I see?
Unconfirmed at that point, because it was I think still around midday in Europe. Unconfirmed but very concrete rumors of 7-time world champion, the icon of the sport. Some people would say the greatest driver of all time. Asterisk next to that, but some might say that. Lewis Hamilton. Why are we teasing that? Like, everyone knows. Do you know how...
Yeah, everyone knows.
Do you know how...
Sir Lewis Hamilton is moving to Ferrari in 2025.
Do you know how I know that everyone knows? Because the array of people that asked me about this included my mum, who follows F1 because she likes to talk to me about things, I guess. And also a guy from home who says F1 is boring. He left me a message on Slack that, by the way, I read when I was getting drunk later that day and preparing for my karaoke. Mind-blowing. Nothing like that happened. Think about all the great, multiple world champions. Alonso moving to McLaren 15 years ago. Seb Vettel moving to Ferrari. Oh my god, Ferrari is a graveyard for former world champions. Anyway, it was such a seismic news, the Hamilton news, not only in F1, not only on the sports website, that were, by the way, just focusing on the last day of the transfer window. And the biggest transfer easily in football. That was incredibly fun.
Oh yeah, just absolutely blow all the football news out of the water. Like, it's the last day of the football transfer season. Nope, Sir Lewis Hamilton moves to Ferrari.
And, champions moved teams prior to that, but I think the fact that Hamilton's been involved with Mercedes for so long.
It's going to be 12 years when he leaves, because he joined Ferrari, he joined Mercedes in 2013.
Prior to that, Mercedes was engine supplier for McLaren, so he's been
True. So yeah. Oh, what was it? There's the meme I saw. It's like, hey, everyone freaking out about it. It's not the first Ferrari that Hamilton has ever driven. Shows a picture of a 2007 McLaren.
It shouldn't be an obscure
Spygate.
Spygate. We can do the episode.
Oh yeah, we can do a whole episode on Spygate.
I think we can do a nice series on Spygate. Why? I mean, I have notes because I sat down that day and I was like, why? First of all, he's getting Carlos' assigned seat, and of all the people on the grid who don't deserve to have a seat, Carlos Sainz isn't one of them.
In the 2023 season, who was the only driver to actually beat Red Bull?
Well,
Carlos Sainz in Singapore.
Well, the only...
Well,
okay.
I'll rephrase that. He was the only person who got P1 in that season who wasn't a Red Bull driver.
Yes. I mean, that was partially because George Russell was being George Russell, but yeah, I mean, unquestionably, it's a historical fact. So...
Oh, crikey.
No, I think he said something else when he slammed into the barrier.
Yeah.
But speaking of George Russell, he's going to be number one driver come next season. And
he is.
The amount of
that's the other hot topic. Who's going to be the Mercedes driver? The other Mercedes.
I saw the headline. I think it was Esteban Ocon talking about the launch of Alpine, and he was like, "Ooh, I have links to Mercedes," and I know, but it seems like a running joke because he was a junior for them, wasn't he? But Esteban Ocon, well, a Grand Prix winner, you can't deny that. But I don't know.
Does he have the right pace to compete with George Russell?
Does George Russell has the right pace to compete with George Russell? I think because he was painfully uneven second half of the season. Some people were saying Alonso. I don't think Alonso would be interested in driving him.
I'm not sure that Alonso would do that. I think he's getting far too much money at Aston Martin, and at this point, does he think he's gonna get enough World Drivers' Championships to become the GOAT at this point in his career? No, I think he's in it for it's fun.
It's fun,
and I get
as long as it's fun. I mean, it took him.
And God knows Lawrence Stroll is funding his lifestyle.
I have those images from early mid-2000s, like Fernando in those yellow and blue race suit and those hideous sunglasses.
Oh, the big wraparounds, the Oakleys.
So yeah, when you said Fernando was a lifestyle, this is the image that popped in my head. It's horrendous. Who gets the second seat? So another option for Mercedes, which sounds slightly insane, but if you think about it, it's better than Esteban Ocon, I think, is Kimi Antonelli, who's 17-year-old. He will be 18 in August, so he could actually get a super license for 2025. He's going to do F2 this season with Prema. And I think this, if you've never watched F2, and I haven't because why would I do this? This will be something worth keeping track of, because if he hits the ground running, I'm not going to say he's certain to get a seat in F1 next season, but it's not unlikely. Again, probably better than Esteban Ocon, more likely than Fernando Alonso or Mick Schumacher. God bless him. Is W15?
I think.
Sorry.
No, I think that there's a problem that's going on at the moment. Is there have been so few rookie drivers coming up from F2 in recent years, collectively in recent years, that there have been many F2 champions who
just in the pipeline
probably should have got a seat. And haven't.
Yeah.
So many.
I would name names of people who shouldn't be on the grid anymore. Because it seems like they've... Again, you can't force them out. And I understand that even the weak teams, they prefer They don't necessarily want to get a rookie. Haas tried that a couple of seasons ago. They had two rookies.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, to be fair, that went badly for other reasons, but... Yeah.
But, it's kind of poisoned now. And it's a risk that... And the reward isn't even that great. It's not they're not gonna drag you to the front of the grid anyway. And you're quite right. Piastri waited a year for a seat, and he was a champion in everything. He was champion in Formula Renault, Formula 3, Formula 2. three years in a row. And in the 20...
Yeah, so there you go. So, yeah, exactly. So, Piastri was champion of all of those racing series. If there's someone who deserves an F1 seat, it was him, and yet he had to wait a year for it. And he was from the Alpine Academy, and the only chance he got a seat in a team that wasn't Alpine.
So you have to...
The situation is nuts. The situation reminds me of the UK housing market.
Please don't.
There's not enough seats for as many drivers as there are.
But kind of ironically, that brings us back to Andretti. It would be pretty useful to have 2 extra seats. It would be pretty nice to have 2 extra...
Yes.
Is W15 really that bad? Because the chain of events was Lewis Hamilton gets in the cockpit and 2 days later he announces... 2 or 3 days later he announces...
I like the one I saw the other day, the meme I saw. It was the dominoes tumbling.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Nicholas Latifi crashes into a wall, Sir Lewis Hamilton moves to Ferrari.
It's not that huge of a... No, I'll take an issue with that because it does make sense. Because him crashing had no impact on Mercedes' performance the next 2 seasons.
No, but quite honestly, if he won his 8th driver championship, would he still be racing today? I don't know if he would. Like, he can clearly still keep up with the rest of the pack. He's still a really good driver. Yeah. It's just a case of, like, is his heart still in it at this point? And given what we've seen, like, the last 2 seasons, I'm not sure that it is.
Maybe that's what he needs, because this is clearly... Again, he doesn't need to do anything. And the move that I'm going to assume no one forced him to move to Ferrari. He actively wanted that. I think it's an obvious thing to say. Maybe this needed to sort of figurate his... I don't say passion, because when that sounds like a platitude.
His passion for the sport.
But yeah, exactly.
And he decided to move to Ferrari.
Frankly, it sounds plausible.
Yeah.
But okay, the other question is: the new Ferrari, has Lewis seen something in the new Ferrari that makes him actually believe in that?
Given that he at the time was still under contract with Mercedes, I'm not sure that he's seen anything.
But they had to convince him of something, like...
Oh, yeah. They'll have done, like, a big presentation for it. Like, bullshit. But, yeah, we've got this, we've got that. It's like... But obviously, right, we can't give you any specifics because, like corporate espionage, secrecy, NDAs, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. They might have said something to him that convinced him, but I'm not sure. They could have given him any specifics that made him go, that's going to work.
It's going to be incredibly... I can't believe it, but I still find that...
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Obviously, he kickstarted the next season's silly season very quickly, because we all knew that, okay, let's go through the list. Now that Hamilton is locked in Ferrari, McLaren and Ferrari are the only teams.
Just very quickly, you know who I feel really sorry for in all this? Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz.
Definitely. And, he's the driver who doesn't have a drive for next season. Mm-hmm. I mean, the season after this one.
Yeah. He doesn't have a drive for 2025. He doesn't have the drive for 2025.
Sergio Perez doesn't have a drive in 2025. And...
Hey! Well, probably not.
I don't see this. Unless he wins...
It's not confirmed that he doesn't, but in our heart of hearts, we know he does.
Okay, drivers who don't have a drive in 2025 are Perez, Sainz, Alonso, Stroll, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, Sargent, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Bottas, Joe, Hülkenberg, and Magnussen. If you do the math, that means 14.
That's 14 drivers,
14 drivers.
So in 2 years from now, the grid could look very different.
It's like you leave your F1 manager...
Or it could look exactly the same.
Exactly the same. You've mentioned Carlos Sainz, and you're sorry for him. I think of all the drivers on the market, he is the most likely to get a seat. I wish I could tell you where he deserves...
Yeah. At this point, it's a crapshoot.
He is the commodity in the market. I don't think there's any other driver.
Oh yeah, I'll say they have to go 2023 season. The only person who actually won a Grand Prix.
That's a very short resume. That's a very short CV.
It is, and you can also look at the rest of his career. Like, he's done pretty well.
Yeah, it would be a great shame if he. I'm sure he ends up somewhere.
Did he outscore Leclerc in the end?
This season.
Yeah, in 2023.
Charles 206, Carlos Sainz 200. But they were.
He didn't quite outscore.
He was
Leclerc,
evenly
but
matched.
It was very close. It was very close.
Ferrari, Charles scored 51% of Ferrari's points, which is as close as you want your lineup to be.
God, that's as close as you would need to be.
Sainz.
To be like, hey, this guy who's never leaving Ferrari, I'm as good as him.
Yeah, so it's I don't blame Ferrari for signing Hamilton. If they're really turning things around, and apparently they are, this might be the missing piece, or it could be a potentially very mutually beneficial.
Yeah. Ooh, you know what could be fun, and it's the point we're going to get onto in a bit, and I'm going to stick a pin in it and come back to it about why Ferrari could be on for a winner in 2025.
2025.
But we'll have to come back to it in a bit because we've still got points on our list.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to go through the list again and just mention that if there is any other driver, if there is one other driver that deserves a seat as much as Sainz, it's probably Albon.
Yeah, Albon deserves a seat, absolutely.
Other than that,
the fact that he's absolutely carried Williams through this season.
Oh, we were talking about the uneven distribution of points between teammates.
Yeah,
he's scored
along with Verstappen and Perez. He's up there.
No.
Oh no! Percentage-wise, he's obliterated that.
96% of
in terms of pure numerics is like, yeah.
Okay, so people who will get... Okay, so Fernando Alonso is technically as well on the market. Although, I think Lawrence Stroll... It's either retirement or a big fat check from Lawrence Stroll. I can't see going this any other way.
Yeah, because he's done extreme... Like, given the amount of... Especially in the early season of 2023, the amount of podiums he had were astonishing. He is practically single-handedly responsible for giving Aston Martin the amount of points they have.
We're talking about uneven matches. He scored almost three quarters of Aston Martin's points.
Oh dear.
This is more than... The only other teams that have bigger disparity is Haas. But they barely had any points at all to begin with.
Yeah.
And
when you get to the lower numbers, the disparities are easier to make. Which is why I'm like, Albon was good, but,
Ocon and Gasly are on the market as well. It would be a shame to see Tsunoda go. I think he, especially the last few races, what he did in Abu Dhabi was pretty impressive, and they almost got Williams.
I would love to see him to continue to outscore Danny Rick.
You have certain...
I have biases.
biases.
And again, and you're the McLaren fan, but I have biases.
I'm not wearing a McLaren shirt right now. Toto Wolff said he was surprised by the timing of the move, but not by the move itself, because Lewis had a clause in his contract that basically allowed him to do that. Not necessarily with Ferrari. That would be a very funny contract. And by the way, it's for 2 years, but I can move to Ferrari after. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton moves to Ferrari. Holy guac. That was it.
Holy guacamole.
Holy Crunchwrap Supreme with guac.
Car launches.
Oh god. I don't want to talk about this.
You don't want to talk about... We don't have to talk about car launches. I mean, I didn't watch any of them because they bore me to
I
tears.
watched exactly one.
I look at the pictures afterwards.
Exactly, you can read. There are people who are being paid to actually watch them and tell if there is anything important. But it's a corporate... It's a intersection of corporate and commercial bullshit. You just want to have your drivers in their race suits talking and, the car is amazing. Yeah. It's the best car we've ever made. The 2023
one for Alfa Romeo was... I did actually watch that.
Why? Why do you hate yourself?
That's an hour and a half of my life I'm not getting back.
What? Okay. Why do that?
Because I was like, I've never watched a car launch. I'm gonna be a dedicated F1 fan, and this one just happens to be there. They're broadcasting it on YouTube. I'm just gonna watch it, and holy hell!
It is painful. I did watch McLaren one in 2021, I think.
Oh wow, you watched them unveil a tractor.
2021 wasn't the tractor.
I know that's pretty decent actually, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, guys, car launches happened, but let's be honest, none of them meant anything other than any livery that actually stuck out. I mean, loads of dark black, lots of...
Oh, no, this is where I wanted to talk about... the thing that Red Bull do. Well, they all do, in a way.
Workplace harassment? Allegedly.
I think we should get to that in a minute. The first one I want to do is because it's related to car launches. They use weird lighting and to hide all the weird little things they've done, like dark lighting, angled lights, smoke machines, all the rest of it. Whereas what people have done is they've gone and done a overexposure version of the picture. So they've lowered the contrast, up the brightness, and gone, let's have a look at all the details. Because they can do that, apparently. Yeah. And that was how they discovered that Red Bull have done the vertical intake, aka 0 side pods.
Oh God, we live in the dark.
Oh dear. Adrian Newey has gone,
mad.
Oh dear, I can fix her.
What stops you from putting absolute tractor for a launch and just faking side pods and shit and just show up with something entirely different to background? Just take last year's parts, just bend them a little bit. No one's gonna notice. People will notice that it's the same or almost the same, but no one really knows.
just wheel out last year's car, take a hammer to it.
Yeah, exactly. Just find there's some kind of new hires. You just.
That's true. I guess there's no contractual thing where they have to show this year's car. In fact, there isn't, because Red Bull did that last year. They wheeled out a completely different car, which is some prototype.
Oh my God, Andy! Did we just sort of deducted that car launches are pointless, and why? Just show us the livery. It can be a picture, and off you go. No one needs this.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've just proved. If you're using it to find out the technical specifications of the car, you're an idiot.
Thank you. We have 5 listeners, and you called 4 of them idiots. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, good. Yeah. 5 is generous. Speaking of generous now.
Christian Horner apparently isn't a very good boss.
Oh dear. Yeah, this is all right. This is going to be a sensitive subject. We should handle this with delicate care and grace.
We don't have to, because no one really knows. The things that we know for certain.
Even approaching the subject.
No. I respect that, because regardless of the flavor of the allegations that we don't know, it's serious. He denies whatever has been alleged, as this is right. There was a very lengthy hearing, and it wasn't even the complaint wasn't lodged with the racing team. It was lodged with the actual corporate daddy.
No, I think it was lodged with their London contingent.
Well, regardless, it wasn't an internal kind of F1 racing team thing. It was a
it wasn't
proper
F1.
corporate
It was
blowout. And people.
It was the Red Bull UK office that it was registered with.
And people went berserk because talks about Adrian Newey and him having some kind of suicide pact. Apparently, in the contract, that if you leave, I can leave as well. It's apparently a power struggle, and so Max apparently supports Christian Horner, but Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko don't, and it's the amount of
because from Max's perspective, Christian Horner has been a better dad to him than Jos.
No, I was going to say Christian Horner is probably the father he never had.
Oh no, Max did have a father. He was a terrible one.
As far as we know. Okay, no, these things are a matter of public record. Jos Verstappen wasn't a very good father. We can say that. This is not libelous.
None of the truth is a defense. Max has publicly stated that his dad left him at petrol stations.
Yep.
This is an established fact.
Okay, why are we talking? We are not talking about Jos Verstappen's transgressions.
No, we're talking about Christian Horner's allegations.
But we can't even talk about, because again.
So have you seen the latest update on that?
I have not. What is the latest update on that?
The latest update on that is he is allegedly, he's faced new allegations that he tried to pay £625,000 as a cash settlement to the woman who made the allegations against him.
Okay, let's pause here. I cannot comprehend £250,000 in cash. It's just, it eclipses my mind, I just want to say it.
Who has
that? And how much is he getting paid? Anyway, not the point. Holy quack. Because as far as I know, you can settle these kind of things.
Yes. Yeah, if it goes to a court where they try and settle it, then they'll be then he could pay that amount to be hey, let's settle this outside of court. here's an amount, drop the case, we'll sort it out that way. This is before that. This is like, hey, before you go anywhere with this, here's 650 grand. That's incidentally, that is from Fox Sports. We'll say that.
Okay, again, I want to tread very lightly. Okay, if we get sued for defamation, that would be incredible publicity, but we shouldn't try to do that.
Oh, that'd be great. That would mean we were onto something. We're investigative journalists right here, folks. We're not just reporting stuff that other people have written.
Well, I was going to say before you brought this up, I was going to say, oh, you know what? They've investigated. There was a hearing, and it seems to be, not really quite the opposite, not really blowing up, but it seems to be sort of fading away. There might be a settlement. He might get, some kind of. Mm-hmm. There might be some kind of repercussion, but I said, well, dismissal is unlikely because I think they paraded him for the car launch. It was like, oh, fine. So
was he at the car launch? Yeah. I actually didn't watch it.
You know what? I'm pretty sure he was.
But this is when did they report this? This was reported 2 days ago. So after the launch.
Yeah.
I'll read it exactly. This is from Nyck Parker from The Sun at news.com.au. Formula One chief Christian Horner last night faced new allegations that he tried to pay a £650,000 cash settlement to a woman employee who received sexually suggestive, quotes, text. The 50-year-old Red Bull racing boss and husband of Spice Girl Jerry Halley, well, they had to put that in there, was thought to have been under investigation for alleged controlling behaviour at work.
So that's interesting because those are two separate, not necessarily separately connected, but I wasn't really sure if this is Christian Horner being inappropriate or Christian Horner being a bad boss.
There's a lot of really grey area around what he's actually been accused of. They've managed to surprisingly keep it quite quiet. And it seems to be, at this point, multiple things.
That is...
Some of which, allegedly, may be sexual in nature.
Wow. We'll be following that story very closely. Because...
we'll be watching
this
that.
This isn't him, calling his assistant at 5:30 in the morning and saying, where's my coffee? This is, if those allegations have merit, and people say, "Oh, F1 was always a bad boy." Yeah, no, it's an organization. You have to treat people with respect. Even if you
no one can get away with being James Hunt anymore.
Maybe Agent Nyck.
Actually, to tangent off this into something I did want to talk about earlier, and I put the pin in it.
Right.
In light of this, there has been speculation that Adrian Newey will leave Red Bull. There has also been speculation that he may go and instead join Ferrari for 2025.
I mean, I've seen this, and Horner getting to put an Adrian Newey is a sign of, solidarity. Joining Ferrari, where also he meets with Lewis Hamilton, is this kind of Mad Lib F1 nonsense that you...
Wouldn't it be great? I mean, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's even likely. It would be great. Imagine a Ferrari, Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Adrian Newey on the same team. We could see several years yet of the most dominant Ferrari team we've seen in decades.
And what happens to Max? Because he doesn't have Christian Horner and doesn't have Adrian Newey. Oh my god, Max implodes. No, this is too insane of a scenario. People.
Well, I mean, I think Helmut Marko still likes him.
Wasn't he supposed to retire anyway? We can't get into this because this is the kind of stuff people sometimes say, oh, you couldn't write this shit. Yes, you could, but you wouldn't because...
You could very easily write... Look, by the way, just as another little tangent, I love that phrase. Like, oh, you couldn't write this. It's like, because fucking Preston beat Cardiff 2-0. It's like... Someone could very easily write that. They write Preston 2, Cardiff 0. Like, people have written fantasy worlds where, time isn't entirely, is something that can be manipulated with thought. Like the fact that Preston beat Cardiff 2-0 is not unthinkable.
Yeah, fantasy is a horrible thing. People sometimes spend entire weekends just being immersed in some...
Sometimes people spend entire weekends indulging in something, I believe they call it dungeons and dragons.
I've indulged in some dungeons on the weekends, but I think it's not the same thing. In other news, trucks. There's going to be a city truck in Madrid. And it's a shame because Catalonia did the right thing and they ditched the final chicane. And we have the thing that I do like in the sport quite a bit, which is a lost corner being flat out-ish or thereabout. It's fun. But
you can actually have a race for the line.
Yes, and
Interlagos has that.
Interlagos has that.
As we've seen.
Vegas, as we've seen. It's a nice feature. Silverstone and Suzuka, they're both extended. And think about that, Honda...
Both great circuits.
Absolutely. And Honda coming back, we didn't acknowledge that at the time, I think. But it also seems like a pipe dream, but Honda is coming back to F1 to be Aston Martin's sole engine supplier.
Yeah, Honda are good engine suppliers, as we've seen.
But
they're still working with Red Bull powertrains at the moment.
But they just left. If I did that in a group chat, say, okay, goodbye, guys, I can't take it anymore. See you later.
Goodbye, and then you send me screenshots of what you want to say in that chat. That's basically what Honda's done.
Honda is a...
Like, Andy, send this for me. Andy, send this for me. Andy, send this for me.
But think about that. Both of those, technically, would be Aston Martin's home races. Can you imagine how unbearable this is going to be? Plus Canada on top of that for Lance Stroll.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. On 3 different continents.
Oh, Canada.
There's a News de Vries. There's Nyck de Vries news.
Oh, yeah. Nyck de Vries news.
Nyck de Vries news.
This is tangentially F1 related at this point.
We like to check.
We'll keep checking in on him and see how he does at Mahindra.
Apparently, there was this whole saga of him owing money to people and not being... But it basically turns into a very, mafia comedy, and I'm here for it. But do you remember... He went to Harvard to study. Do you know what he's studying?
Yes, I do. I believe it was negotiation and leadership.
I think it's very ironic. Had he taken that course a couple of years prior and negotiated his way around Helmut Marko, maybe he wouldn't be in that mess.
Maybe he wouldn't owe somebody.
$250,000.
I don't.
$250,000?
$250,000.
Okay, hear me out. Is it euros or pounds? Regardless. So... This is a little under half what Christian Horner allegedly offered for silence. Okay, so do you think, hear me out on this, do you think Christian Horner actually tried to pay it off 2 Nyck de Vrieses stacked on top of each other in a trench coat?
Holy shit!
2 Nyck de Vrieses in a trench coat as an episode title.
2 Nyck de Vrieses in a trench coat. You know what? They'd be about the height of most people, so that's fine.
Anything else?
So we got a couple more points.
I have one more. What was your?
You got one more.
Austin is likely possible that it will lose its place on the calendar. It might be replaced with Chicago, and Chicago is obviously known for its very famous improv group called Second City. And that would mean that we would have a revival, the best F1 comedy performance since the departure of Michael Masi. I'm done. Do we have anything?
You know what? In serious news of that, I would be very disappointed because at least Austin is a dedicated racetrack.
Yeah, it's a race for sure. Yeah.
If they go to Chicago, it would be a street circuit, and we have enough of those. Yeah. Please, Formula One, we have enough street circuits already.
So I do want to wrap this up. I want to point out that in this episode, there were exactly 0 times deleted, so tune in next week to find out if there are any times deleted. I've been Alex.
And I've been Andy.
And we'll see you around.
Thank you for joining us for this inaugural episode. Take care.